the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
AVWeek is produced and distributed through a partnership with AVNation and Rave Publications. For more information, go to ravepubs.com/AVNation. This is AVWeek, episode 44, recorded Friday, June 1st, 2012. Pleasantly Acerbic.
Ready.
AVWeek.
Performing scan.
Week.
Online.
This is AVWeek. AVWeek. It's time for AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. I'm your host, Tim Albright. Thank you so much for joining us. This week, we continue our highlight of monthly shows, and by doing so, we hope that you'll join us at InfoComm 2012, which is just about a week and a half from this recording. This week, we are highlighting one of the shows about that's going to be highlighted actually at InfoComm, and that's live staging. That's the LiveLife. These three gentlemen are all on it, as well as George Tucker, who will be joining us shortly. First up is Mike Postupak, owner of Perspective Staging in Washington, D.C. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Next up is Justin Lang. Justin is the editor of PLSN Magazine. How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, absolutely, man. And last and certainly not least, I say not because he has the same name as my son, which I think is awfully cool. His name is Christian Samuelson, and the owner of Crosspoint Audiovisual in Charlestown, West Virginia.
Pleased to be joining you this afternoon, gentlemen.
I'm going to do the elevator pitch, unless Mike, you'd like to do so, for LiveLife. It's basically, it was the brainchild of George Tucker, our illustrious, bald friend from Long Island, no, actually Yonkers, New York, and that's the world that George lives in. George works for World Stage, which not to be simplistic, it's in the name, right? So you guys talk about everything from RF to projector mapping to all sorts of other things, and you do it on a monthly basis. You get together with all sorts of things. I think even the first month you guys did this, you talked to someone from, was it Norway or Sweden?
I believe it was Norway.
Norway, yeah. So yeah, it's international. It's
yes, it is very much so.
So it's posted monthly, usually about the middle of the month. We don't have a real good schedule yet down for any of our monthlies, but generally we have them somewhere within the 4 weeks that the monthlies begin. So if you are into the world of live staging or live sound, live lighting, whatever it is, check out the LiveLife if you would, and you can listen to these gentlemen here. And like I said, also our buddy George Tucker, who'll join us here in a second. And you guys will be also recording a live one at InfoComm, and I believe that is Wednesday. The Wednesday of InfoComm, which is the 13th, if I'm not mistaken, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So come by the booth. The booth again, where we will be ensconced in the Rave Pubs booth right next to the InfoComm store. So if you can find the InfoComm store, you can find us. Come by and see these guys and check them out and see them do their magic. So. This week on AV Week, we're going to be talking about Nortec, Google Cloud, and STEP, the green initiative that InfoComm introduced last year. But first, we're going to talk about Amazon, which sounds kind of odd, and also the Xbox, which also sounds kind of odd. But it's important enough, at least it's important in the residential sense, but I think it's also important for education in boardrooms. And the announcement this week is the fact that you can now get Amazon Instant Videos on the Xbox. Now, this is nothing new for guys who have had other streaming devices, stuff like the Roku and certain Western Digitals and other devices like that. But this is another evolution for Xbox. Xbox has Netflix. Xbox has the Major League Baseball, and now they have another streaming service. So little by little, Xbox is evolving from just a thing that plays games to a thing that does everything, and oh yeah, it also plays games. Mike, is this something where you can see, as silly as it sounds, an Xbox being installed in, let's say, I'm in St. Louis, so Enterprise Rental Cars is a huge corporation here, so can you see that being put into the boardroom of Enterprise?
Can I see that being put into the boardroom of Enterprise?
Or just boardrooms in general?
I don't know. I don't see it. I don't know. Most corporate presentations and things like that are either going to be done through, either embedded videos or something like that. I don't see where they need to go ahead and pull something off an Amazon or a Netflix or something like that. I can't see it, at least at this point.
Christian, am I stretching here, or is this just kind of cool to me because it's cool in my house, but not necessarily in the education environment or in the pro environment?
It is very cool. I mean, it's a great thing to have in a residential environment. In my years of installing boardrooms and doing corporate meetings, we haven't used an Xbox or something similar as a content delivery device. For most of my clients, the content that they need via cable television usually includes MSNBC, CNN, the Weather Channel. Those are the things that they need to look at. They're not typically sitting around downloading the Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Why not?
It would be a great way to spend an afternoon, but communication.
You got to come to my boardroom then.
Well, let me ask you guys.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Let me ask you guys. Then this is, I see, maybe not Xbox, and I mentioned it because it's the news of the week. But are boardrooms and pro installations, are they ever going to see a day when streaming is one of the content delivery devices, or is that just never going to happen?
Content delivery devices. I mean, I've installed a lot of Apple TVs, and they'll just change forms. The content is being pushed from the cloud, and whatever delivery device gets it onto a display device, it's up to the consumer's choice or the client's choice, the boardroom's choice of how they want to get it there and what content is most appropriate for their situation.
Okay, so what delivery device, I guess, is the most prevalent? I mean, if we are doing streaming, what's the most prevalent? Is it the Apple TV because of the small form factor and the ubiquitousness of all the different things that they have on it?
I've done mostly Apple TV just because of the reliability of the device. But that's not to say that tomorrow or next week somebody's going to invent the latest, greatest net top content delivery device that's going to blow everybody away.
Justin,
what are they streaming through this, Christian? What are they streaming through the Apple devices?
It was primarily it was an alternative to having cable TV. It was access to the web for content media delivery.
It was like the news and things like that?
Right.
News and things like that?
Yeah, typically through an installation, I put it in, I test it, and what they do with it after there, I'm usually not sure of. But
well, no, I mean, because here's the thing: the Apple TV. I'm not the biggest Apple fanboy in the world, but Apple TV does at least have AirPlay, right? I mean, AirPlay is the ability to walk in with your iPad or your iPod, and here soon with your Apple OS computer, whether that's a desktop or a laptop, and shoot whatever you have on it. In theory, and there are limitations to that, up on a boardroom display. So is that kind of what they're thinking, Christian?
That is. These conference rooms that I installed recently, there was 6 of them were similar in form and function, but had different capabilities. Each one was controlled by an iPad, essentially running a Crestron application to control the the AV Pro 2s, or the Crestron DM switches, and all of the conference rooms could be logged into via one of these Apple iPads. So they were able to push content via the iPad as both a remote control device and as a content delivery device.
Justin, you do a lot with guys who do live staging and live events. Is there a place for streaming devices in the live environment? My sense would say no.
Not at all. There isn't. But going back to the Xbox, I actually used it this weekend for family videos. We shot a bunch of family interviews and stuff like that, and we wanted to share them. Well, I run Apple, and for the longest time, I couldn't figure out how to make a DVD, so I put them all up on Vimeo. I don't even know how to pronounce that. But I put them up on Vimeo. Vimeo, there it is. Yeah. Vimeo as a backup of sorts. And getting there, the DVD didn't, of course, play in that particular DVD device. And, why don't you try it on the Xbox? Every social video, whatever website is available on Xbox except Vimeo. So it wasn't a solution, but they had a smart TV. Smart TVs, I think, are another option instead of using an Apple TV or an Xbox. I have a Samsung whatever. It's a nice TV. All it needs is a Wi-Fi connection, and I can access the Netflix, the YouTube, Flickr, Vimeo, all that stuff directly through the TV. And I don't have to do that Xbox Live sign-on or anything like that. No. I just need my sign-ons for the different services, which with this cool little remote looks like a phone, has a quirky keyboard, and can easily get onto those things. But going back to entertainment, no, there's no way we can trust, in live event, we can't trust a streaming service to hold this stuff. Besides, most of this stuff lives on a server that's on the road anyways, on a media server, or it's iMag or something like that.
So they're doing their own version of streaming, really, because they're streaming it from the hard drives.
Correct, yeah. They have all that stuff localized.
Very cool. All right, next story is we're going to talk about LEDs, and this comes to us from Rave Publications. LED backlit TVs to dominate 2012 is the story, and basically they're saying that LEDs, the backlit LEDs, they're gaining market share, and in the last couple of years, they're saying that they reached more than 50% share in the fourth quarter of last year and the first quarter of this year. My only thing with this is the fact that you put the word LED onto a display, you're going to confuse mom and pop who go to Best Buy. And I understand that technically is what it is. It's a backlit LED. But I take my father-in-law, who, he's a very nice gentleman. He's in his 60s. And he knows enough about technology to be dangerous. And he comes home and he says, I bought a new LED TV. And you cannot convince this man that he doesn't own an LED TV. So, Christian, is there a solution here? Can we stop calling backlit LED TVs LED TVs? And if we can, what do we call them instead?
That is a tough question because it really does confuse the consumer.
Yeah, it does.
They don't understand the difference between backlit LED and backlit via fluorescent tubes. That's the essence of the argument, right?
But they're still LCD TVs, right? It's still an LCD.
LCD TVs, but the backlighting is being delivered by a different method via LED. There's several advantages to that. That's where the market is going, and traditional LCDs are being phased out as we speak. There's many reasons for that: cost, brightness, power consumption, just to name a few.
I think Christian has left us. So, Mike, we'll start with you then.
Hello?
Christian?
Is he back?
Nope. Mike, what do you say? Can we stop calling these suckers LEDs?
Well, yeah, I'm wondering how much does the consumer really care? I mean, to be honest with you, you go ahead and you get people like George who like their weighted knobs.
Yes.
Then that's a different thing. They really get into all of that. But your average consumer, the people that they're trying to reach, the millions of general public, they're more looking at price and, the quality of things are so good nowadays that, you get a little bit better and a little bit better, but is it worth the price to them? I don't know. And so, I don't know how important it actually is to the general public.
Justin, is it important to you? Is it important to guys that you deal with that, they have legitimate LED screens every night that they deal with? And then they walk into Best Buy to buy one from their house, and you've got, the uniformed sales clerk who's 16 years old and still fighting acne, telling them that what they're looking at is an LED.
It's like Mike said, it's all based on consumer awareness. I just recently bought that TV that I mentioned earlier. My wife flipped a brick when she heard how much I paid for it. It's because I didn't buy the cheapest one out there. It's because I wanted the, higher megahertz, because that really matters to me when I'm watching football. Yeah, well, it's important to me. I wanted a good picture. And,
no, I hear you. No.
Everybody sees these $500 TVs. Oh, they're LED, but do they look beyond that? No, they just want a cheap, the buzzword LED device or TV. And they don't really understand why the page on the other side, the TVs cost $2,000, $3,000 when they look almost exactly alike. So it's all about consumers understanding why they're paying so much for a good product.
And that makes sense. And some of that, unfortunately, is... Go ahead.
And I just was going to say, and that's good for the people that really can appreciate that, but the general public, I don't know if they can, or if they even care to, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. I was going to say that's probably, unfortunately, the job of the manufacturer to explain the difference. I don't know that they have the time nor the energy to do so.
That's the 16-year-old acne problem.
Well, yeah,
Remember?
I mean, that's the thing.
And what's Oh, just the price.
It's the price, and it says LCDs or LED, so it's an LED.
It's the greatest.
It's the latest
so
and the
greatest.
greatest.
Be good.
Yes, it is the latest technology.
It's all driven by what's on sale this week. That's what they're going to really push.
Yeah, that's unfortunate though. So, about a year ago, Infocom led kind of a couple different consortiums together and came up with STEP, S-T-E-P. And it was their version and their answer, I guess, to LEED. And if you don't know what LEED is the organization that gives architects and construction people, general contractors, credits, LEED credits, and you can call a building LEED, and there are several different levels. There's platinum, there's bronze, there's silver, and that just means that it is economically friendly or economically viable, or it's green, quote unquote, to use a shortcut. Well, STEP is the AV version of that, and that's just to kind of recognize the fact that there are several steps, no pun intended, that people can take, integrators can take. I really didn't mean to do that. The integrators can take to make a building more eco-friendly. This week, the Infocom group took STEP to Capitol Hill, and actually a couple people from my neck of the woods. One is Russ Carnahan from St. Louis, and another is Judy, and I want to say it's her last name is Bigert or Bigert. She's a representative from Illinois, and gave them a presentation and said, "Hey, look, here's why STEP should be integrated into the whole LEED thing, or at least on par with LEED." Mike, is STEP will STEP get through the process and get some national recognition and some governmental recognition, or are we just kind of barking up the wrong tree here, and we should just do this and say, you know what, by the way, we're just so you know, we can also save you some money and we can also be green?
Well, I think everyone's going to try and be eco-friendly here, and they should. But my question comes down to this about all that. Okay, eco-friendly, yes. How much eco-friendly are you with these regulations that you may be putting in somewhere, and what are the cost of these regulations to apply them? And are you really getting a great benefit for all the things you have to go through to try to be eco-friendly? It would be my question. I'm not from the integration side. I wish Christian was back on. He could probably talk to this a little bit more, but that's just my basic thought on that.
George, are you back with us yet?
Indeed, I am.
Excellent.
Hello, gentlemen. And Christian says he is here. He's talking, but we don't seem to hear you, Christian.
Hi there.
There he is.
There he is, the man.
Christian, what do you think? Is this ever going to take hold where nationally guys will say, you know what, this has to have so many step points and so many lead points, or are we just going to have to go our own way, kind of Maverick style?
It's going to be done by the design build and the companies and the consultants who are going to sort of trickle down how that effect is going to take place throughout the industry. Fundamentally, right now, everything is sort of disjointed and disorganized as far as the LEED certifications and the requirements go for the buildings themselves, and it's all very confusing. It's a good initiative to get some industry standard and some guidelines by which designers and consultants can follow and make sure that they are meeting the standards that are being proposed.
Well, it's not confusing. You get 6 whole lead points for doing anything AV. It's not confusing at all. It just, they don't give us any credit. That's the problem. Georgia here is, I like LEED, or I like STEP. Let's start with that. I think it's a great program. And I'm not kidding. You don't get very many lead points for stuff that's AV. So, how do we get these two guys together? Is this oil and water here? Can we coexist, or do we have to do our own thing?
I certainly hope they can coexist. I certainly hope that something
Don't hope. Give me an answer.
Okay. Let me put the envelope up to my head and
thank you.
A square wheel. Yeah, again, that's my answer. I hope, because the LEED, for all intents and purposes, LEED is not working. At least not on the residential side, and from what I can see of it, very little on the commercial side. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get lots of letters of people lambashing me on Twitter about this, but it's true. I know of a number of dealers who said that the return on value to the home that they were putting it into was negligible. And they wanted to be LEED gold, and it just didn't happen because they looked at it and went, it's even over 30 years, it's not going to return any value. Now, is the bigger question, it's going to return value to the environment and you just cough the price? Okay. But as written, it's not giving us the return on value that it promised it would over the time frame it thought would be workable.
Well, and some of that is where you live. We have a buddy of ours, Rich Fregosa, who he and I went back and forth about this because he's looking into and seriously considering solar panels at his house, and that's not a small investment. But according to Rich, it will pay for itself because of the size of his power bill. So some of that, it does depend on where you live. But I would agree with you, George, that by and large, most people will not see, a return on their investment for going platinum LEED. Justin, forgive my ignorance here because I don't do a lot with at least the big world of live staging. Is there anything that anybody has to worry about, or is there even a program where live event guys are even worried about being, let's say, an equivalent to LEED or an equivalent to STEP?
There is no way. There's no standard. There's no measurement. there's no way in entertainment lighting that we're going to be green or considered green anytime soon. You'll hear a lot of LEDs and stuff like that coming into the market, everybody going to LED, but to fully take advantage of green savings, it's just not going to happen. We would have to have double the amount of fixtures currently, with what's currently available out there. We'd have to have double the amount of fixtures, so we're talking the same power consumption as the technology that's been around for years, the old tungsten stuff. So not really a leads or step program like you've been talking about in the entertainment lighting world.
So you're
not one that I know of, at least.
So you're saying that live guys don't care about the environment?
Well,
I remember a company in California.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike.
Sorry, the name. I remember a company out in California that I was reading not long ago that is kind of pushing that idea, at least in their marketing, that they're trying to do their live events more green. I didn't look into it fully at what they're doing, but somebody is trying to do that out there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think
we all want to be greener.
I was going to say, I think to Justin's point that probably is just marketing, right?
I'm sorry, say again?
I was going to say, to your point, that probably is just marketing. I mean, it's not real practical. Or is it?
To a point, it's practical. It can only get better with the advancements in LED lights out there and LED displays. The power consumption goes down, but there's just no way we're going to get LEED platinum anytime soon with any production out there, especially with those guys lighting pyro all over the place.
Yeah, there's that. So. All right, you're listening to AV. Go ahead.
I was going to say the carbon trading for that would be immense.
Oh, geez. Giant footprint. Carbon footprint. You're listening to AVWeek, the LiveLife version episode. This week we have George Tucker, the illustrious and fabulous, Mike Postupak, Justin Lang, and Christian Samuelson. This week, or the last couple of weeks, Google has released something. It's called the Google Cloud, or Google Drive, or G Drive, however you want to say it. But it's got a lot of cool things, and it has the ability to share things back and forth from a browser to an Android device to other applications. And it got me thinking, is there room for either displays or other, let's just say, equipment, whether that's a switcher or a display or some sort of thing that has integrated cloudness to it, if I can create a word here. George, am I going to be able to buy a projector that's able to connect to either Google's cloud or have like a built-in Apple TV-ishness to it?
I have no doubt that that's going to happen. In fact, some of the lower end, or I've called them road warrior, or installers for like corporate boardrooms, as I find my word. Sorry, do have this ability to send, say, files from your computer to it wirelessly. And some of them have been starting to chatter about doing the streaming thing, being able to hook up to, say, some streaming service. Will you ever see that, say, in the live world? I highly doubt it. Although I have seen, since we do a lot here at WorldStage, we do a lot of media server image mapping stuff, that we get the content via some streaming service, and then we sort of load it onto the drive and modify it so that it works with the imagery or the space we want. But I would never see it becoming something that we would stream it live, at least not until the bandwidth is absolutely 100% guaranteed, and then you and I wouldn't be able to afford it. But so yes, we use it in certain contexts, but for the live, guaranteed, we need this to work right now, I would not trust it.
Yeah, exactly. In the live events, I don't think you, at least at this point in time, no one who's decent at their job is going to trust anything that is not localized. It's just there's too much risk involved, especially if you're working in things like ballrooms and, some of these hotels. My goodness, internet connection is like hit or miss. And well, it's just go ahead.
Yeah, look how much we still mistrust wireless microphones.
Yeah.
We still sit on pins and needles no matter how much we think we've used them 1,000 times in the same space, going, when is it going to get interrupted? Hopefully not during this really big meeting. Maybe during the wedding, but not here. No, please.
Right.
Right. So something to set a standard technology.
But I tell you, I would love to be able to, have somebody remotely do switching. Somebody can be at home and, go ahead and, and download the presentation, switch to the proper one, have a camera that he can view, what's going on. That would be lovely. You don't have to do travel costs. You wouldn't have to do, all those sort of things. But all that is just too risky at this point. It's just the technology is not, there yet.
Plus the net latency would be enormous depending on where you are.
Yes.
Christian, I mean, some guys already have stuff like this where you can. I know Epson and Sanyo, before they merged with Panasonic, some of theirs were able to. I mean, you loaded up a piece of software on your computer, and you could send them static images. Is this some kind of like the next generation of that? Only it's in the cloud, obviously, or is this beyond that? Is this bigger than that?
Well, we can see a trend right now that's happening where everything is kind of moving back to the cloud and content being managed off-site. That's going to be true for the corporate world as we move from localized PCs going back 30 years to having a terminal and everything stored on a mainframe. It's sort of a similar idea. It will work very well in the corporate environment, but I have to agree with Mike when he says that for live events, it's just too iffy to not have that content be local.
So that's kind of the theme of this show. Don't stream it, have it there local. So. All right. Well, and not to kind of parlay this into our next story, but this week, Tim Cook was at D10, which is a digital conference about all things electronic. And he said that the Apple TV is not a hobby to him, which in reference to his predecessor, Mr. Jobs, said that the Apple TV was a hobby to him. Oddly enough, in the biography written by Walter Isaacson, he said that he finally cracked it. So I'm not quite sure what that means. But everything that every technology writer has written about the Apple TV, using that same nomenclature, has said that we're going to see an actual display this year. Usually, the collective wisdom is that we'll see it in either the third or fourth quarter. Most people say the fourth. But the fact that Cook said that this is an area, quote unquote, of intense interest for us. Justin, does that mean that we are headed to a world of Apple displays?
I'm all about Apple, so if that's what's coming, I'll be first in line to buy one.
Well, excellent. There you go.
In the entertainment world, I don't know if people will really clamor out to buy them, since we need something that's pretty large for stages. Would I use one? Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is some Mac stuff that's already out there. I mean, we're using Playback Pro on certain little events, right? I mean, some guys are still using that as their sort of poor man's media server when it doesn't require sort of geometric changes or, any real severe format changes. There are tools from Apple called Compressor and all those kind of things that let you make changes and do that on the fly and then stream it out. So it is being used in that technology, and that ecosystem from Apple is being slowly used on some of these more design-oriented jobs, more aesthetic-focused jobs, I think, especially because most of the people who are designing the stuff are working on Mac, so they're sort of natural to using it and seeing it there.
Very cool. Is that because is Macintosh, and I get this sense, and again, I'm not the world's biggest live guy, I get the sense that Apple is the preferred source of choice for people who do live image mapping and then just live images in general. Is that a true statement or not?
I can take that on, and guys, if you have a comment. Yes, because especially when you work in theater, a lot of the theater people are Mac people, And Apple did, one of the few right things they did back in the days when they were vacillating back and forth between success and ultimate demise was really cater to the creative design types for everything from the Adobe people and Photoshop to the movie editing stuff that they focused on. They basically told the gamers to go away and really focused on the creative design types. They're lost, but a lot of those tools came from there and are still the sort of de facto things that people want to use and have grown with.
I don't want to start a Apple and PC war here.
Why
today,
not, Mike?
Let me put this on the table. Look, Mac. Everybody was using the Mac years ago because the PC was not there yet. The Mac was the only thing that was really stable to play videos and do editing on and things like that. Today, I really question, I don't know. The PC does a decent job nowadays. Now, yes, you can argue, the Mac doesn't crash as much and all that. But as far as, utilizing it, I think it's just more of a legacy thing, if you ask me, that people are using all the Macs. The PC does a pretty good job nowadays, in my opinion, at least for everyday stuff.
Very cool. All right, next up, we're going to talk about a company called Nortec. And if you're not familiar with Nortec, you're probably familiar with at least one of their products. One is Elon, Xantec, Aton, Soundcraft, Geffen, TV One, Magenta. Stop me if anybody's ever heard of any of these. But
all of the above.
All of you, thank you. And they've gone through, how shall we put this? Growing pains. How about that? Is that a nice way to put it, George? Growing pains in the last couple of weeks. Jeremy Burkhart, who I've never met, but I've always found Jeremy to be one of those people who is kind of bigger than life, and one of these guys that is kind of the embodiment of the excitement of the world of AV. He was the head of Speakercraft. He is no longer the head of Speakercraft. He has retired, quote unquote, and that is a reason I put the quote unquote, because that was how they put it. Jeremy's a little older than I am, so that's why I'm like, wow, he's retiring at 40 something. Wow, good for him. And they've gone through some other changes. Gary Kay, who is from Rave Publications, the guys that host our fine shows, wrote a piece. And in the piece, he has given Nortec a piece of advice. As Gary puts it, it's a free piece of advice, so, take it for what it's worth. But it's an interesting piece of advice, and we'll start at just kind of go around the horn and ask you guys whether or not Nortec should take this guy's advice. What Gary is saying is basically this: take all of your brands and consolidate engineering and consolidate marketing. Let all of your products play nicely together, because currently they don't. Some of their lines are able to do some certain things. Some of them are not. And just kind of share the brain power for everybody, and then take all that, put it under one roof, rebrand it, rename it, and come out with something bigger and better. I mean, he used the analogy of Cisco, where, Cisco kind of has the big brand. They suck up and absorb, very Borg-like, a brand and also the brand's technology, and makes it, available to all the different products. Justin, does this make sense for you, for a company, for an AV company, first of all, that is kind of as disparate as Nortec is, to take everything under one roof, have the engineers share all the brain power across the brands, and then come out with one face saying this is Nortec, whatever, or whatever it is, regardless of whether it's a speaker from Speakercraft or it's, a video product from TV One? Does that make sense to you?
I think it could be beneficial for them. They're able to, rather than compete against each other, pull these engineers together and come out with a better product. I've seen it happen a couple times where two manufacturers come together and come out with a product that, I won't say blew us all away, but would not have come from that specific company had they not join forces with another that won't say specialize in either or, but they're able to co-work together and develop this new product that could potentially change how a lot of people think. So in the end, I think it could be beneficial across the company.
Christian, Justin makes a good point. Why would they work against themselves? I guess is the best way to put that. And Justin and Gary's piece both. Why wouldn't they have everybody kind of playing together all for one common goal?
Who were you asking that?
Christian. Hello?
Yeah, he popped off for a second.
George, how about you?
I'll take a shot at it. There's a couple of reasons why you wouldn't want to, or at least you'd be resistant to doing so. That is, if you have a number of companies who overlap in some way, but if consolidating and making play nice is something that you want to do, you may actually threaten certain very profitable product lines from those individual companies, which could mean a loss of engineers in that consolidation or loss of salespeople, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and possibly even some markets because of this consolidation. Yes, for you and me, would we want it? And does in the end it create innovation, like Justin said, and creates a better product and an ecosystem a la Apple? Yes, but I can see that from a manufacturer side saying, when owning several manufacturers, that if we do this, we're going to have a threat to certain business models that have been very successful.
Yeah, I think it's great if you can execute on that. What's the biggest problems that you see in mergers and acquisitions is getting the two cultures together, to really work together. You get two really different cultures trying to work together, and it usually produces trash a lot of the times because they just got two different mindsets going. So if you can really pull that together, of course collaboration is great, and the more ideas you can get flowing and going, but it's really hard to execute.
No,
I think it's one of the ways they can do that is running the company separate for some time. There's been a couple of successful stories where these companies merged and they ran as independent companies while they figured out what that synergy is between the two companies when they finally do say, we're all under one umbrella now.
No, that's a good point too. Is the fact that they have to take the time to figure that out. But the the point is they've had time to figure that out. I mean, good Lord, they bought Speakercraft. What was it, 10 years ago? And there's still there are still aspects of Speakercraft that other parts of their business can't do, whether that's audio over Twisted Pair or other things. So, or they can do, they just do it differently, because they were working on the project or on the problem separately. So,
although I do have to say that Jeremy was one of the more pleasantly Acerbic people that I've ever met. He could smile at you and say the most amazing things that you think no one would ever say, but still make it fun.
Did you just say pleasantly Acerbic?
Yes.
You would be the only person I know that that utters those words, pleasantly
Where's
Acerbic.
my dictionary?
George uses words like tertiary and what's your other one? Coquettish. So
coquettish.
Yes.
No, but
go ahead.
He was very nice guy. He would never really hurt anybody, to my knowledge. Maybe he has some bodies buried, but he was direct and sometimes very forthright. And he could not care less if he really offended you, but still know that your best buddy in here, let me buy you a beer.
Yeah. and you know what? He's always seemed that way to me. Like I said, I never met the guy, but always admired him and his work ethic. And he has created some really great products while he was at Speakercraft. So I was sad to see him go, but you know what? Here's the thing. He no longer works for them, and maybe he'll take some time off, go hunting or fishing or doing a walkabout and come back and wow us some more in another company. So,
exactly my thought. What's he going to bring next?
Yeah, what's he going to bring? Give him some time off. Let him chill out. From the world of rave publications, this is the title, and the title of the article is this: You need to own the network to own the home. And basically, the article goes on to say that by 2015, 25 billion internet-connected devices will exist. And so here's where my crazy little brain went. Whether that's CEDIA or NSCA or Infocom or whoever, all of these devices and all of these organizations are trying to get everything from an iPad to a laptop to an Android device or what have you. These are all AV devices. I know they're computers and I know that they're personal media devices, but they're also AV devices. So my thought was, okay, this kind of gives us a restart, if you will. Gary Kay has written before about, the fact that, digital signage is getting taken over by IT, and a lot of us lamented the fact that all this convergence is meaning IT is taking over AV. The fact that the home is becoming more and more networked, and all of our devices are becoming more and more networked, to me, says that we can take some of that mind share back. We can become what the IT network has become, which is ubiquitous, and everybody knows pretty much how to do a router and stuff like that. Well, what if we took this idea that all this stuff is connected, and it has to eventually get to the internet, but you know what? It's all video and it's all audio. So we're just going to kind of go around the horn here, and we'll start with you, George. Is there a way that we can kind of reclaim and maybe reclaim sounds a little adversarial, but get to the point where AV becomes as ubiquitous as IT because all this stuff is so intricately connected?
Yes, and it will happen when the cable companies have full control of the broadband metering and they are the main providers of content.
Well, I don't like that answer.
Huh?
I said, I don't like that answer.
I know, but I was listening to On the Media, which is an NPR show about media and broadcast type of stuff. You may be familiar with it or not, but with the lovely Brooke Gladstone. Anyway, they were doing a conversation
I have to
with
Google her now. Go ahead.
One of the main editors of Digitrolla or Digitimes or something. I'll find it for the link. But he got into a room. A 20-something, a 30-something, 40-something, which was Brooke Gladstone, the producer, and a slightly older gentleman, probably maybe in his 50s. And they talked with this guy about where do you get your content from. And it would be, as you would expect. The younger people were like, I don't have a cable box. I don't care about a cable box. I don't want it. I get my stuff from XYZ, and yes, sometimes I even rip it off. And as the age grew, of course, they were more and more into the stable model and how the cable companies viewed each one. It's pretty obvious how they would view them. Young guy, you're a threat. We're really worried about you. Really younger guy, we're not sure we're ever going to get you. Well, but here's how we're going to get you. We own the broadband. The other broadbands are really phone companies, and guess what? We're buying phone companies. So even if you try to get away from us, we're going to get you, and we're going to tack on the cost of your stealing to that, and that's what will make ubiquity. Because then finally the cable companies will say, we feel like we can make a profit. We feel like we're not going to turn out like the record companies. Now we can let you to do all this protocol over the internet or over our networks because we're metering you, and just like electricity, you're going to pay for your usage.
Okay, that's no, I like it. I like it. I accept it. How about that? There are more than one person smarter than me that has written about the fact that we, just like George said, there's a good chance that we're going to start paying, how much we use, very much like power consumption. So, Mike, is there a way that we can kind of, get back into the home and get back into the business and get back into people's minds that says, oh, this is what AV, this is what AV means. This is the AV business.
Yeah, I mean, networks are becoming the everything, the main hub of basically everything that you're going to end up getting. It's a matter of when, I think. It's obviously not there yet, but yeah, it's going to be the key to everything that we do in AV, I think, eventually. What's Christian got to say. He wrote in something here. Christian, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, I mean, where I would weigh in on this is that the convergence of AV and IT is going to continue. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion. And where we're going with this is content delivery and the speed of communication. And the speed of communication is what drives the economy. As the United States economy moves into the technology business, it's ideas that sell and it's communication that sells. And that's what drives our economy. And what I wanted to add here is there's something fascinating going on with Google and an X project that they've been working on called Google Glasses. I don't know if are any of y'all familiar with the Google Glasses project?
Yes.
Well, it's for those listening who don't know, it's augmented reality taken to the next step. And for somebody to be able to walk down the street with a pair of glasses on that basically works as a heads-up display, interacts with your phone, and your phone is now an artificial reality or artificial intelligence device that is starting to anticipate your needs, wants, and desires, identify where you are on a map, locate things that you're interested in. It's speeding that convergence between AV and IT and bringing us into a world that is much more accessible and much more user-friendly than just using a keyboard or a mouse or some other input device to get that content delivered to us directly. It's becoming more intuitive. It's becoming more available to the masses. Now, what the price point for this device is yet to be determined, but like every new emerging technology, it's something that'll eventually be hanging at the Walmart checkout rack for $19.95.
Yeah, and that's the thing is as technology becomes it envelops us, from the time we wake up to the time that we go down. All of these things are going to be interconnected, and I guess my thought was just, how do we get back into the minds of people where, what, your stereo and your TV and all this stuff that interacts with it, this is all AV. This is all what we're going out to see in a couple weeks. And it's not, yes, it uses a network infrastructure, but it's still AV. So good thoughts. A couple of things real quick, guys, before we go. George, I kind of did an elevator pitch before you got back on the line, but why don't you go ahead and give people your 2 cents on how you see, and I probably did a horrible job doing the elevator pitch, so I apologize. But do kind of the pitch for what LiveLife is, and also how people can hear it and the different and various shows we've done in the past.
Okay. Well, yes, and I was missing because in the exciting life of staging and event rentals, we had an issue which needed to be resolved right away on a tour site, which we needed to get a drive at, and of course nobody knew where the drive was. Fun stuff, right?
Very live.
Yes, it's the life we love to live. But why the LiveLife? Well, I'm recently back into the event staging world. And it's something that everybody experiences or is around, whether they're at a rock concert, a corporate meeting, a show of art, a festival. Any of those things involve the men and women who do the sound support, do the lighting, do the recording and video presentations. The people put the screens, the projectors, the calibration systems. All these people are what are involved in the event staging arena, and a lot of what sometimes trickles down to the home comes from these guys developing stuff for these large events or sometimes small events. And it crosses over into installations that are maybe not your standard installations that integrators would be involved, but the bigger, massive stuff. Sort of like if you know the Hirshhorn Museum down in D.C., we did a project in which they projected completely around this, almost like a cyclorama around the museum for this project called Song 1. those kind of things are what we talk about. And it's not just the technology, it's about where to get the information, how to work with each other, and what we can do to improve the knowledge base and the quality of work for everybody, including the big guys and the mom and pop shops.
Wow, very cool.
And I got to add, the LiveLife I think is important in doing programs and things around live events, because you look at the education and the just the podcast and the write-ups in our industry and things, they're mainly concentrated around the integration side of things. And the thing is, the live events is very different. And there is a lot of live events. There are thousands of them happening every day, everywhere around the world. This is a big part of the economy also, and there are lots of people doing this, and it's different than integration, and it needs something that is tailored towards us, that can really speak to us and in our niche.
No,
well, it is true that it's one of the few industries in which you are only as good as the last cue.
Yeah, or the last miscue. And so, all right, guys, a couple things real quick. This will probably be the last show that people listen to before InfoComm, so there's a couple things I wanted to get down here. First of all is our schedule, as it were. If you are interested in coming by the Rave Pubs booth and, I don't know, throwing things at us or just, point at the silly monkeys trying to make entertainment. I don't know.
Large denominations only, please.
Yes. Throw money and flowers. But no coins, actual bills, because coins hurt. We will be at the Rave Pubs booth, which if you can find the InfoComm store, you can find us because we're right next door. We will be there every single day, actually including Tuesday, if you get in on Tuesday. Gary, Kay, and I will be doing the Daily Rave. It's a daily show that we do. It's something we already do, but we'll be doing that every day at 11 o'clock in the morning. These are all Vegas times. And then on Wednesday, George will be doing one of his monthly shows called AV Social. That will happen at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, the 13th of June. Thursday is a busy day. Not only will we also doing the daily show there, but also EdTech, which is our education show, will be happening at 1 o'clock. And then the LiveLife, this represented show, will be happening at 2 o'clock. Then finally on Friday, the big show, AVWeek, will be happening at 2 o'clock until they kick us out of the booth. Probably about 4 o'clock. So that's the lineup. Also, a couple other things. One of our old friends, Pat Deely, she has an international job site. She has some openings for some people. I'm going to put a link up on the show notes here. And then one of my favorite guys that we've had on, and George actually did a special with him, John Huntington. He has something called the ControlGeek.net, which is John's website. Show Control Case Study, and it's happening during InfoComm. It's Thursday evening. If you have some time, please check it out. Not only are they doing some really cool exhibitions from stuff like the Amsterdam Maritime Museum and some others. He's going to be doing some stuff from the Gravesend, showing that, which Gravesend is John's haunted house that he has in New York City. But afterwards, he'll be having a drinking and driving not competition, but there'll be go-karts, and then after the go-karts is when the drinking happens at McMullen's Irish Pub. So I'll put a link up to that as well on the website. So, and last but not least, just because I'm a big Crestron fanboy, I got a urgent quote-unquote email today saying that hurry up, get your analog cash for trash. It's their digital media thingy, and yeah. I just thought it was silly, the fact that it said urgent. I don't know why it's urgent. George, why is it urgent?
I have no idea.
You used to work there. Why is it urgent?
Somebody wants to sell something? I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
They need money.
No, in the middle of the show, I'm
right.
in the middle of the show. I was trying to get to the John Huntington email, and all of a sudden it says urgent Crestron DM. I'm like, oh, good Lord, they found some bug or it killed somebody. No, they're just trying to sell stuff. So, all right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. With us has been Mike Postupak, the owner of Perspective Staging in Washington, D.C. Mike, do you have a Twitter or an email or a website you'd like people to go to?
Yeah, AV Mike P is my Twitter handle, and that's good for now. I'm starting to build up a lot more of my social media things. I'm pretty busy with things going on, but I'm going to try and build that up some more.
Excellent. Justin Lang, the editor of PLSN magazine, plsn.com. Justin, do you have a Twitter that you'd like to plug?
Sure. Our magazine's Twitter account is PLSN Magazine. We also have Facebook.com/PLSN online. I can rattle off all of them if you want me to, but I'll save some time for you.
All righty then. Also with us is Christian Samuelson. Christian is the owner of Crosspoint Audiovisual in Charlestown, West Virginia. Do you have a contact information there, Mr. Christian?
Content information. Yeah. If anybody out there needs lights designed for a specific live event or audiovisual installation done for corporate boardrooms or other such, I have teams to do that for you. You can find me at crosspointav.com, spelled with an X.
Crosspoint, spelled with an X. All right. And last and certainly not least is George Tucker. George is the producer extraordinaire that I never was when I was in radio. So you can find him Tucker's Twos. No, forget it. What's your website?
Tucker'sTuesday.typepad.com.
I almost had it.
Twos on Gmail. And I am with worldstage.com. That's worldstage.com.
Yay, World Stage. They have a very nice site, by the way.
He is World Stage.
Whoever did that deserves a raise.
I'll let Mr. Weisberg know. He was a main motivator of that.
I'm just saying it's a very nice site. So,
yes, thank you very much.
My name is Tim Albright. If you'd like to follow me, that's entirely up to you, and I make no guarantees on the quality of my tweets. But it is TD Albright, Tim David Albright. But more importantly for me and everyone here at the AVNation crew, please go by the website ravepubs.com/AVNation. ravepubs.com/AVNation. That's all the time we have for AV Week.